This is the Paranormal Report. I swear it gets worse every
It really does.
week. Yes, it does.
Really, really does. This is so bad.
I'm just getting more over the top with my little dances. Hey, welcome to the Paranormal Report. I'm Jim.
I'm Dar. Happy hump day. And hey, 30 days until the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Which is Halloween.
Well, we can't say that. We have to say the big game.
Oh, the big game. So, oops. Oh, brother.
It's Halloween.
Brother,
Halloween's coming up. Yes, Halloween is coming up. And our live stream is coming up on Halloween, 8 p.m. Eastern on October 31st. Be there or be square.
Yes, if we can choose a costume.
Yeah, we're having a tough time this year figuring out the costume. We keep going. We got a couple ideas, but it's like, is it going to be more spooky? Is it going to be more funny? What's it going to be? Hey, let us know. You know what you can do? You can go over to our virtual campfire, virtualcampfiregroup.com. You got to be a part of it first and tell us what you'd like us to be. There you go.
People, there is a post about that because I did ask people a while back. So you can add to that if you can find that post. I think it was in General Talk.
So the live stream, October 31st at 8 p.m. Eastern. There's one other important date we want to tell you about. Dar, you're better with the specifics, so tell them about my upcoming local appearance.
Yes. So Lorain Public Library, the main branch, is hosting an evening around the campfire with Jim Harold. So that's on Wednesday evening. It is in person. You have to register. So you have to go to, what's the link? LorainPublicLibrary.org.
Let's get it right.
Wait a minute. I know. We got to get it right. See, you always say that. I just know that it's at 6 o'clock, 6 to 7:45 in the Toni Morrison room. That's what I know.
Yes, it is LorainPublicLibrary.org. LorainPublicLibrary.org.
I did
there
it.
There you go. Yeah. So
I think there's 8 openings left. They keep having to add spots, which is a great thing. We're very excited about that. If it does close up, there is a wait list available, so you can hit the wait list, and if somebody doesn't show or they back out, you get the spot. So, yeah, we're excited. I'm excited. I think it'll be so awesome to actually get to meet people.
Share some stories. I'll share some stories, and then the group that's there will share some of their stories, and we'll have, some books and stuff afterwards for signing, and if you want to purchase a book. But mainly just glad to get out there and meet with people in person.
Right. We're always
we don't get to do much of that.
Here.
Yeah, we don't get to do much of that, and it's kind of tough, when you never get to see anybody.
When you are just talking to the air. No.
Talking to the ether.
I think for me, it's easier to talk to the air than it is to talk in front of people. But
the thing is, I got to tell you, there's always strange things going on, and really something very strange coming from the sky. Correct, Dar?
Oh my gosh, yes. So this is from themirror.co.uk. A mystery emerges because this giant hairy object smashes into a farm after falling from the sky. And nobody knows what this is. And if you go, I'll have the link in the show notes. If you want to go see the picture, it is bizarre. Nobody really knows what this is. So it's large. And I thought it was like something small. It's rather large. It's 5.6 feet long and 3.9 feet in diameter. And it landed in northern Argentina on this poor man's farm. He found it. It's a cylinder, right? And it has a valve system at one end and a hole at the other. And it has a serial number in it, which is kind of weird.
Huh.
But what's
and it's hairy
really,
with the...
That's the bizarre part. What's really hairy, it's covered in hair. It's covered in black fibers that look like hair. It is furry. It is the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Local authorities just, they kind of had the police and the fire brigade out there to make sure that, it wasn't combustible or like it explode. But they totally investigated it. It has nothing like that. There's nothing hazardous about it. They just don't have any idea what it is. So, of course, they're saying, it could be just leftover space junk. There was a recent SpaceX mission, but nobody knows. And so far, nobody's really claiming it belongs to them. So it's
That's
very
weird.
Very bizarre. Yeah.
That's very strange. A large hairy object from space. You know, it's one of those things. It reminds me of like the really old Charles Fort books that had like one of the famous things was raining frogs. You know, just in this one place, it started raining frogs apparently back in the day.
Like the Bible.
Yeah. Or locusts, you know, plagues of locusts and things. So it's just a weird world that we live in. And I think it's getting weirder every day, Dar, because we've got this wow signal. Well, we had the wow signal from the 70s, but now we might have a 2025 explanation for it, courtesy of Harvard's own Avi Loeb. Now, for those who don't remember, The Ohio State University, which we both think highly, we think highly of. Back in 1977, not only did they probably have a pretty good football team, but they also picked up with their big ear telescope the wow signal. And this was a signal that was so unique that some people thought, hey, it might have come from intelligent life. And there's a famous computer printout where this sequence is circled and there's wow and an exclamation mark from the observer that was on duty. And that's where the idea of the wow signal came out. Well, Avi Loeb is suggesting a new theory that it may have come from an interstellar visitor, possibly 3I Atlas. We've been talking about it's huge. There is some speculation out there now, not everybody agrees with it, that it may be Manhattan-sized. It might be 33 billion with a B tons. And it's actually going to be supposedly kind of hiding behind the sun for over a month, which is kind of scary. What's it going to be doing there? Because we won't be able to see it with land-based or space-based telescopes. So it's doing a lot of weird things. Now, some people say, hey, it's just a comet. All this is being blown out of proportion. But people like Loeb say, wait a minute, there's something very unusual. He goes on to say, if it was 3I Atlas, the power of the transmission would have been about the same as a nuclear reactor here on Earth. In other words, strong enough to make us wonder if somebody was trying to get noticed. And so it really is interesting. How do we react if we get a signal from an interstellar visitor? Or what if this turns out to be an interstellar visitor? What do we do? Now listen to this. Loeb goes on to say, and this is from medium.com, so he wrote it himself. He said, the wow signal was separated by approximately 4 degrees in RA and 8 degrees in DEC from the direction of 3I Atlas. I'm not exactly sure what that means. But he said the chance of 2 random directions in the sky being aligned to that level is about 0.6%, so less than 1%. So again, if it was the wow signal, it would have been extremely, extremely powerful transmitter involved. So, you know, I have a feeling either Loeb is going to be like celebrated as the world's greatest genius, or he's really going to kind of be disparaged if this just turns out to be a comet, because he's really putting his reputation on the line with this. And he doesn't strike me as a guy who would just do that. You know, I don't know. Well, I think something's being hidden from us. I really do. I'm not sure that they really know what this thing is all about.
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about it, he is going out on a limb, right?
A huge limb.
He's kind of, because he's veering away from the mainstream scientists and their thoughts about what this is, and you know, he's giving his own thoughts about it, and I kind of respect that. You know, I kind of like that somebody's really investigating it, and you know, he's probably spending a lot more time on it than maybe the other scientists are. So, you know, maybe he does have a better handle on this. But yeah, you're right. If he is proven wrong, it's be like egg on his face. But I don't know. I think it's just interesting. And what I kind of wish is other scientists would kind of get along with him a little bit. You know what I mean? Like work with him a little more and kind of have that back and forth debate and really say, hey, well, let me look at your data, you know, right. Your data, your equations. Let's kind of take a look at all of this and let's work together and see where we are, instead of it being so compartmentalized. But
Yeah. And it's interesting because we did that story last week. You were talking about the idea of nuking a meteor that has a very small percentage chance of landing into the moon. And one of the excuses was, we don't want to interfere with the International Space Station. If I remember right, this all would happen around 2028. Am I remembering correct from last week? Something
so.
like that. But you found a little interesting tidbit about the International Space Station that we're so worried about in 2027, 2028. When does it end its service?
Yeah, they're saying they're getting rid of it anyway. 2030, maybe earlier, but I don't know. It's just so weird, right, Jim? I mean,
yeah, why would you nuke? Was it a meteor or an asteroid that was heading towards the moon? An asteroid, sorry. I get my terms mixed up.
Remember, it was the one that was supposed to hit us, and now they say it's on a different trajectory, and it's going to hit the moon.
It was like a few % chance or something.
And they're going to nuke it.
They're going to nuke it with all these possibly unintended consequences because it's going to cheat us of 2 years of service of the International Space Station. Where does that make sense?
No, I don't know. See,
that tells me there's other reasons. There's other reasons.
Yes. That's why that article was so interesting that I saw this week.
Yeah.
They're saying goodbye to it. So wait.
Yeah. Why are you so concerned? 2 years.
Why do you have to be? Why do you have to say goodbye to it and waste all that money? Right?
We lived. Well,
if the meteor, the asteroid's going to take care of it.
No, but my point is that everything. I mean, the International Space Station's been out there decades, so everything has its lifespan. So I don't question that. But why are you going to potentially nuke an asteroid, cause all these possible unintended consequences just to get another 2 years out of the ISS? That doesn't make any sense to me. So that tells me that if you're thinking about nuking an asteroid, it's not because it's going to put the ISS out of service. It's because it's going to put something else out of service, maybe satellites. Maybe there's some fear if it hits the moon, it could have further consequences for the Earth. I don't know, but I just feel when it comes to these space objects and things like the James Webb Space Telescope and all that, I think some stuff's being hidden from us. You
think?
I think it might be.
Of course it is. But yeah.
So one thing going from
that's hidden
up above to down below, there's something hidden down below, and you had an interesting story about that.
Yeah. So from dailymail.co.uk, Loch Ness Monster hunter stunned as a creature as big as 3 men emerges from the deep. So the hunter, as we know, is I'm always worried about saying his name. Johan Ofadgagon. There.
First thing I thought when you said 3 men, I thought the Three Stooges. This is just like the Three Stooges.
There you go. Oh, no. Okay,
wise guy, huh?
Yeah, wise guy, huh? Great joke. When you do that, it just reminds me of your brother. But anyway. Anyway.
Slightly.
He's always looking at the lock, and he's, videotaping it, whatever. So he was very puzzled when he saw this footage. He didn't see the footage. He saw a 17-foot long creature, monster, whatever, in the lock. And he said, quote, "I saw a large creature, brown, black in color, just breaking the surface, creating a strange circular movement. I was puzzled, wondering what the spectacle was that was unfolding in front of my eyes on the surface of the lock. I had never seen movement like this before. It was strange and fascinating." And you could see the video of what he's looking at. It's rather large. It really is. And you can see it this time. And the weird part about it is that the water is so still. Because he was like comparing it to like footage they had back from the 90s, but they said the water was far more rough when they saw this. But the water was very still, and it would just come up and surface and go back down. And it was like giant. Yeah, he said it was very weird. And there was no visible wakes in the water, he said, or boat activity prior to the sighting causing any swirl.
Well, the thing is about the Loch Ness Monster, I am totally on board. I'm absolutely on board with it because water monsters, to me, are the most likely cryptids to be a real thing because we don't know what's under the water.
There's something there. I think there's something there. Now, whether it's a monster or whatever.
It could be some kind of prehistoric eel or something like that.
It could. Sure it could.
But I definitely think there's, and again, it goes back to that old thing. We know less about the ocean, and although this isn't the ocean, but we know less about the ocean than we do about deep space. And I think that if cryptids are real, these unusual creatures, that the most likely ones to be real, almost a slam dunk, are water monsters. I believe it. And speaking of water, a very interesting story, Popular Mechanics. Military divers claim they found a UFO crash site, but they spent decades sworn to secrecy. Now, many people who have followed the UFO subject over the years are familiar with the Shag Harbor incident in 1967, which some people call Canada's Roswell, essentially. It was Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia, and residents spotted strange orange lights plummeting towards the Atlantic. They thought it was a plane crash. They called police, and there was no wreckage found, but there was this weird foam that was on the water, and many people believe that those weren't a plane crash or anything like that, that they were UFOs. I think there was even some speculation that maybe one UFO may have crashed and then there's another one possibly came to its aid. That's one of the theories, I think. Well, anyway, there was this UFO researcher. Let me grab his name, Chris Stiles, and he started investigating the Shag Harbor incident. And eyewitnesses would keep saying, hey, do you know about Shelburne? He didn't know what Shelburne was. And it turns out that it may have been yet another UFO situation in 1960. There was a NATO minesweeping exercise off of the coast of McNabbs Island, a small island also in Nova Scotia. And apparently there were some very strange things going on. All hell broke loose, witnesses said, of this minesweeping operation, and divers were deployed into the water. Stiles said in his 2023 book, Sweep Clear 5, there was no doubt what we were dealing with off of Shelburne. These were UFOs sitting on the seabed. They were occupied, and there was still activity. Oh, this, I got confused. This one was trying to help the other, which was damaged. So now you have two different major UFO instances in the 60s rather than the one most of us thought, both in Nova Scotia. Now get this. This was so disturbing to the military officials, this 1960 incident, that the ships initiated DEFCON 1, the highest level of readiness for war. And there were witnesses, divers. They ordered us to the surface and ordered us to forget what we'd seen. Then alarms sounded upon the command ship and panic broke out. So there you go. So, we think we had one Canadian Roswell. Now you might have two Canadian Roswells if I can keep my hands in the frames. But the point is that this stuff has happened. People have seen things. It's been covered up. And there's a long history. It's not just about the Tic Tac video and all these things. All this goes back decades. It's been repeatedly covered up. What it means, I don't know, but it means something.
Not just the U.S., it's Canada, it's Europe, it's all over the place. It's Russia and China and everywhere in our world. Okay, so come on. Everybody, I don't know.
Yep.
It's not happening anywhere. Something is, like you said, something's happening. Do we know what it is? No, we don't. They probably don't know what it is. Or maybe they do, and that's what they're covering up. I don't know, but it's not being discussed with us. That's for sure.
That is correct, and it continues. But I just feel like things are coming to a head to a certain extent. Like, I don't think the government's going to ever come out and say this is the case. I don't see that. But I think things are bubbling up so much, and because of the way our information works today with the internet and so forth, I mean, I feel like we're not going to get full disclosure, but it's going to become apparent that there's something going on that cannot be denied. And I think, it could come as soon as this 3-eye atlas. Very weird things are happening with that, and it's going to be an interesting couple of months, I think. We'll see what happens.
Or not. My concern is, it's bubbling up, and they're just going to kind of squelch it all down and tell the mainstream media, let's forget about it.
The warnings may be ignored, and sometimes it could be very dangerous when warnings are ignored. Can't it, Dar?
Yes, it can. So ladbible.com is reporting that this woman, excuse me, ignored a psychic's warning, and she was left with half a metal head. So I don't know if you've all gone to a psychic out there and you don't listen, or you think it's kind of bunk or whatever. She really believes that this fortune teller predicted her horrible accident, right? So her name, Hannah Roper. She visited a fortune teller in April last year, and this psychic told her, said, watch her drink if you ever end up in the area of Fenton in Staffordshire. So this is in England, UK. And so she was kind of worried about it. So she said, she avoided the place for months because she was kind of spooked by this psychic's hunch. And then she did finally find herself in Fenton, and she left there in an ambulance. So she was sharing a bottle of wine with a pal in a pub, and she's trying to go back to her friend's boyfriend's house to go to the bathroom. She never made it there. She said she was going to the toilet, and then her friend heard a bang, and she was at the bottom of the cellar stairs.
Oh, gosh.
So she probably mistook, she's thinking she mistook the cellar door for the bathroom one, and she went down the staircase,
Lord.
Bleeding from her nose and ear. She was in and out of consciousness. They brought her to the hospital, but she didn't remember much. She said if they didn't call the ambulance and it didn't get there, she probably would have died. She said a silly drunk mistake could have cost me my life. And they had to take part of her left side of her skull out to reduce the pressure and reduce the swelling. And she was having surgery immediately because they said if they didn't do it immediately, she would die. She had 3 hours of emergency surgery, and that left the left side of her skull with a drain, and nightmare, just a nightmare. And it dawned on her while she was in the hospital for 2 weeks after that about this premonition, that the psychic had. And, she said there's a town called Fenton. She said, if you ever go out there, and Hannah said, yeah, I sometimes do. And she said, be careful, watch your drink, and she's like, the psychic predicted my accident. Yeah. She's alive. She's doing well. She's still recovering. She had to wear a helmet. They put a metal plate in her head. She doesn't have any permanent brain damage, which is a miracle, but she does have a lot of other symptoms from this. So,
well, two things from this story come. First of all, how quickly and relatively easily our lives can change. I mean, you could fall down the steps. That. I just read something about a woman who fell down the steps, a young woman, and paralyzed. A very young age, like 28, 29 years old. I don't even think she was drunk or anything. I think she just fell down the steps, which can happen to anybody. And so that's the first thing. The second thing is, I believe the psychic thing is real. I mean, the skeptics will say, oh, well, why don't they go to the racetrack? Why don't they play the lotto? Well, I don't think it works like that. But I do think that there are legitimate psychics who pick up on vibration. Does that mean that they're 100%? No. I don't believe there's any psychics out there that are 100%. But I do believe there are people who have these talents. I have no question.
I have to agree. I mean, I do. And I've been to a few, and they have told me things, and that's not happening, whatever. And I tell the story like what my mom, like she couldn't find her life partner, couldn't get married. She went to a psychic because my mom loved all that stuff. And this lady told her, oh, you're going to get married his first name's going to start with an A. She gave her all this information. My mom's like, come on, whatever. Sure enough, when she told her it was going to happen, she married guy with the name that started with A. I mean, like, I believe they can have these little premonitions. I believe they can pick up on things. Like you said, I don't think it's 100% all the time, but that doesn't mean everything they predict is wrong either. You know, even if you got it 50-50, that's still pretty good in my book. I mean, I don't know.
I agree. By the way, I grimaced during your recounting there because I dropped my pen.
I heard too,
so if folks wonder, why was he so disgusted by what she said? I was disgusted about my lack of fine motor skills. I was marking something off my list here. Oh, by the way, one thing we did miss on our little housekeeping at the beginning of the show. During the month of October, the fine folks over at Apple Podcast are spotlighting pretty much all my shows. You know, we're going to be part of their Halloween collection. So that's like a great honor. And in recognition of this honor, and this is for specifically people who listen via Apple Podcasts directly, you can get a 2-week free trial to my Paranormal Plus Club, the Spooky Studio Plus. And usually that's just on Apple, that's just a 3-day trial. But now we're going to say, you know what? Apple has recognized us. We're going to celebrate. We're going to join in on the fun. We're giving folks 2 free weeks of Spooky Studio Plus. It's only for the month of October, and then we'll shut it off. So if you've ever thought about joining our Plus Club, just go into your Apple Podcast app. And this really works best for people on Apple devices. This is international. There's no, you can't do it here, you can't do it there. This is international. And you can get 2 weeks free of our Paranormal Plus Club, our spooky. Really, now it's called Spooky Studio Plus. And just search for one of my shows. Campfire's a good one. This one's a good one. And you will see the listing. You can try it free. And it's all managed through your Apple account. It's very clean. It's very neat. It kind of just works, which we love. So finally, here's your chance. 2 free weeks. And then at the end, you let it go. Or you decide it's not for me, you get 2 free weeks on the house. I think it's a pretty good deal.
Yeah. Is this a stupid well, it might be a stupid
question.
There
are no stupid questions.
Well, there might be. When I ask them, they can be. What about like people who internationally say, well, I don't use Apple, I have an Android.
Can they still? They have Apple Podcasts on the web, and basically you can go through Apple Podcasts on the web, and you can subscribe from there and listen through the web-based browser. I can get you the address for that if you give me 1 second.
No, I was just curious because I know a lot of people say, well, I don't use Apple.
Yeah. So if you don't have an Apple device and you want to do this, you can go to podcast.apple.com, podcasts with an s.apple.com. And there you can, and I'll just look it up right now to make sure. Jim Harold. I know that guy. And I'm looking right here. And right there it says, try free. Yep. So right there it is, podcasts.apple.com. And that's also international. If you're on an Android outside the U.S., because we have some restrictions on some of the other platforms internationally. But for Apple Podcasts, there is no international restriction. You can join our Plus Club and you can get 2 weeks free right now. So I recommend you go over to Apple Podcasts and do that.
Awesome.
All right. Back to the news stories. Now here I'm going to play skeptic a little bit. Apparently there is new footage of a mysterious object flying over Texas in broad daylight. And unfortunately, we can't show you the image because of copyright issues, unfortunately, if you're watching. But it basically looks kind of like, if you know what Native American arrowhead looks like, it kind of reminds me of that, except it's black. It's a little bit what that reminds me of, at least. It's a triangular object. This happened September 8th in Trenton, just after 8 p.m. A pair of witnesses spotted a pyramid-shaped object moving eastward for at least 2 minutes. They said that it was going 20 to 30 miles per hour as it moved higher into the sky and far off into the distance that night. They said it didn't make any sound. They thought it was 6 or 7 feet long, making it relatively large if it was an ordinary balloon. And this is dailymail.co.uk talking about this. So there are a lot of black triangle incidents. People are saying, but
every episode.
Anyway, people are saying, I don't know.
People are saying, stop.
Could be the best triangle ever. This is the greatest triangle anybody's ever seen.
Oh,
no,
my gosh.
But the point is that some of these I put a lot of stock into, but I'm almost wondering if this isn't a military drone or some kind of experiment or something like this, because I'm looking at this picture, and we'll have it in the show notes. This looks like some kind of drone. This looks like some kind of military experiment, those kind of things. And as far as it being 20 to 30 miles per hour, maybe it was a distance off and they're misjudging it. I mean, I'm a little skeptical. And that's the thing. I think we can be interested in these things. We can believe that many of them have veracity, but we can still be open-minded in the other direction, say, well, maybe sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. I know I use that all the time, but the point is that maybe it's just a drone or something, I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, when I saw it, I agree. First, just like really quickly looking at it, first thoughts, no. Military. I didn't feel like it was a UAP or UFO. I thought it was some kind of military plane. That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of like a stealth fighter. Or
yes, that's exactly what I thought when I saw it. That's the exact equipment I thought it was when I saw this.
Right.
I'm
not saying it absolutely isn't.
Right.
But
no. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not discounting the person that saw it and took footage and they believe it. And, that's good. I'm always of that mind. If you believe what you want to believe, everybody should have that right to believe what they want to. I think many times these are UFO, UAP, and we don't know what they are. And I think sometimes they're not. And in this case, my opinion, I don't think it is one this time. But I can't say definitively. Who can?
That's true.
I mean, unless somebody comes out and takes ownership of it, and even then, you don't know if you're being lied to. But I mean, like the government can come out and say, well, no, that's our military jet or whatever. But
you talked about ownership. That's been a big topic of conversation with a lot of these paranormal tourism sites. But there was a really interesting piece that you found about ghost tourism. And are we well, I'll let you tell people about it because I think it's an interesting discussion.
This definitely interesting discussions from salon.com. The title, Ghost Tourism Profits on Death While Dancing on the Graves of Those Who Died. It does slant a little politically, but it does bring up some really interesting points, right? And they start out talking about, there was a 2023 Halloween episode of Shark Tank, and the two siblings were trying to pitch their business, American Ghost Tours, to the sharks. And they were, really perky, and they were like, but then kind of forced, and the brother, his confidence disappeared as they were like asking him questions. And, they've been running ghost walks in the Midwest for like over 10 years, and they were always fascinated with supernatural since they were kids. But the way it was all presented, you would have never known that they cared about anything but money.
Right.
So this article is kind of saying that are like these ghost tours in all these cities and all these, different things that are being sold to people. Is it just to get rich? Basically is what the article is saying. And are we taking into account, the fact that sometimes, people have died or they're, like we talked about, was it at the Myrtles that we talked about, like that their spiel isn't always true, that sometimes they cover up and change things about slavery?
Well, I don't know who, I'm not going to say the people that manage it, but in relation to that place, there are kind of, it seems to be kind of exaggerated or I'm trying to think of the word, embellished. It's embellished a little bit.
Yes.
But I'm not saying it's the people that run the Myrtles, but in general.
No. In general, I just use that as an example, but yeah, I mean, and they're saying like, they're calling this dark tourism, and it's valued at $32 billion right now, and it's projected to keep rising. And And they're saying, it's including historical places like Auschwitz and Chernobyl and New York
Well,
City.
that's a
and
little.
well,
That's a
there
little. That's a little far. I mean,
tours and
Auschwitz and Chernobyl. And if
But
you're
they
talking
are-
about 9/11, I'm assuming you're talking about the 9/11.
They
sites.
are.
That's a little. That's a little. A lot. I mean, Auschwitz. Oh my God. I think if you're doing ghost tours to Auschwitz, I've got a real problem with you.
Right. I don't know if that's the case. They're hinting at it in this article. And they're also saying, like, the business of capitalizing on ghosts is getting a little ridiculous too.
Well,
there's a home security company called Vivint, and they were ranking the 3 spookiest cities in the country. So Gettysburg, Estes Park, Colorado, and Stowe, Vermont. And they say, those places do have a lot of ghost activity, a lot of spirits, but they're also non-paranormal tourist destinations as well, right? And places where hotels and second homes might need security systems. You see where they're driving.
Yeah. But I want to say something here, because there's going to be somebody watching said, well, isn't this ironic? They're talking about profiting from ghosts, and that's how they make their livelihood in terms of us. And I mean, I could say that's fair. That's fair, but I want to make a couple statements here. First of all, I'm going to just lay it out there. I'm not anti-capitalist. I mean, I know it's very in vogue these days to be anti-capitalist. I'm pro-capitalist, but I consider myself a compassionate capitalist. In other words, I want to provide people information. Yes, I want to provide people entertainment, but I want to do it at a fair price and do it ethically. So, for example, like we turned down a lot of ads. I've turned down a lot of ads for the years that could have been tens of thousands of dollars. And I won't do them because I didn't feel that they were ethical. For these host-read ads where I endorse things, I mean, we actually try the stuff, we actually use the stuff, and we like the stuff. No BS. So we are definitely, I do this for 2 reasons. I started because I loved the paranormal and I loved broadcasting. And I was interested in the paranormal since I was a little kid watching In Search Of. Most of you watching and listening to this have heard that a million times. That's true, and all that maintains. But yes, this is a business, and we do have business goals, and we've got to keep the thing afloat, like we talk about the Plus Club. So there is the profit motive. There is no question, but we try to do it ethically. We try to do it in the right spirit, and we have a genuine interest. But we don't apologize for trying to make a profit. Now, I think there's a difference between someone who has the interest and is trying to make a living or those kind of things, and then somebody who just said, this is the hot thing, and I'm going to do this, and I couldn't give 2 diddly dams about ghosts.
Well, my point with this is, are you rich, Jim? Did you get rich off of this?
Well, even if I did get rich, there would be nothing wrong with it. I haven't, and I don't think it's in the cards.
But are you doing it? You're doing it. I don't know. I'm just going to speak for you. Maybe it's incorrect. You're doing it to give people a forum. Like Campfire is your show, right? You're doing it to give people a forum to talk about their experiences, because they've been made to feel less than everywhere else in the society, because you are a kook, you're a weirdo, you're an idiot, you believe in that stuff. You give people a forum to say, you know what? I'm going to share what's happened to me. I don't know. Maybe it's happened to you too. Okay. You know what?
Right.
Are you making a living? We're making a living. Yes. Are we, like, do you cut your own grass, Jim? Do I clean the toilets? I mean, we're not profiting. You're not making it so sensational. Are you sensationalizing it so that you can become rich? And that's what this article is really talking about, becoming rich, like mega rich, taking advantage of people.
But let me say that, okay, let's take me out of it. Let's say somebody were doing a show like we do these shows, and they did become rich. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but as long as they maintain that grounded stance. So I'm not one of these people that say, oh, if you're rich, you're bad. I mean, and some people feel that way, and that's fine. I don't feel that way, but I do feel if you lose your way in that process and you become all about the money all the time, then that's a different thing. So I think you and I are in slightly different places on this. But again, I feel that at the heart of it has got to maintain a real interest, a real passion for the material. Because that's why I always say with the paranormal TV shows, it's like the people actually doing the shows who are the talent, I think most of those people have a real passion for the paranormal. The programmers,
not all of them, but
the executive,
I won't say most. I'll say
like
many.
The people at the very high level who are programming these shows, as I said before, they couldn't give two diddly dams about ghosts. It's like I used to say when I worked in commercial radio. A lot of the people at corporate would program the sound of somebody gargling if it could get a rating and they could sell ads against it. So there's a difference. I think you can have a true interest and a true passion for the paranormal and for podcasting, but still have the profit motive, or I think you can be a total sellout. And I think you're talking about total sellouts.
Well, I am. And I'm maybe going to bore everybody. I'm going to read this one paragraph from this article. He says, quote, "This has been particularly true of reality TV paranormal programming that Dickey sees as the spiritual offspring of 1984's Ghostbusters. Masculinized spaces of homosocial bonding that marry the adrenaline rush of extreme sports and the gadget-obsessed nerdery of online forums, but that also catalyze expressions of feeling and emotion. The casts of ghost hunting shows aren't uniformly male, of course, but amid the terminology of hunting and trapping and proving paranormal existence, there is almost always one burly dude hoping to fight a spirit."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's...
So this is what I'm rallying against, Jim. I'm not rallying against you guys or that's why we drink or, the true people who are really interested in this and are just providing forums or the true podcasters of this, not this commercialized junk that you see often on TV. Yeah. And I'm not saying that everything's junk, but in my opinion, and I'm allowed to have my opinion, a lot of it's junk.
Well, I think what's happened now is that you've got the guys in the black T-shirts with the muscles and I'm going to go after the ghost, damn it.
Right.
I mean, that's just the thing. When I was a little kid, I remember watching these shows and it'd be like some guy in a tweed jacket with the elbow patches in the ESP lab.
Yes.
And I think that's something that changed. I'm probably closer to the guy in the tweed jacket. And honestly, that's why the shows aren't more popular.
That's
if
true.
I would go
that's
to the
why
gym...
Yeah.
If I went to the gym and got bulked up and started, wearing a black T-shirt and say, I'm going to go out and what's that? Yep. What's that? And here's my EMF meter. I would be 10 times more popular, but that's not me. That's not me. But I think there are people like that who are still legitimately interested just because you wear.
Yes.
But I also think there's people like, okay, how are we going to make some money now? I think there's a lot of those people. And I think now it's like, I think that's why, and again, I might tee some people off. I almost said something else. But I might tee some people up. I think sometimes that's why people get into ghost hunting, because they think they're going to have a TV show.
And make a quick buck.
And the truth is now the TV shows are dead. I mean, the TV show is thing. I mean, really now everything's gone to YouTube. I mean, honestly, I think the era of big paranormal television is over. It's over. I mean, even the big names, I won't name them. You know them. I've interviewed them. Even the big names, they're going to online platforms because, Discovery and other cable networks have just stopped. Yeah, just stopped doing this. They've just stopped doing it.
Right.
And I actually feel
why would they stop doing it?
Well, I think that it's not
it has
profitable.
Interest
Plus,
waned?
I think it's the flavor. It's money, and it's the flavor of the month. And let's face it, cable is on the way out, man. I mean, that's part of it. They're just cutting back in general.
That's true.
Cable is done.
Yeah,
it's cooked.
That's true.
So
that's true.
Anyway.
No, I mean, and there are, and this is what these are the people that I respect, the legitimate people who are going out there and ghost hunting, but legitimate, where they go into a place and, they're like, there's no energy here. It's not every week we find a spirit. You know what I'm saying?
That's the tough thing.
And there's so many guys out there and women out there that are doing that that I respect, because they'll go into a place and they'll say, no, there aren't any spirits here today or whatever. You know what I mean? Not the ones that are seeing it because they have to find something.
Well, let's say that you have a paranormal TV show and you do, 13 episodes in a season.
Right.
and the company is paying for travel, they're paying the crew, they're paying the talent, they're almost certainly compensating the location. They've got a lot of costs, right?
Yes.
And then if you go in and at the end
And
say,
don't find
we
something.
found nothing.
Oh, I know.
How does that work?
But that's why I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. That's ruled by money. It's reality TV. It's like the Real Housewives. If you people think that's real, it's not. And I don't know any housewives that are like, I'm a real housewife. I'm cleaning toilets, cooking dinner, going grocery shopping, taking care of the bills. That's a housewife. Those women are going to get their nails done and going to spas. It's not real. And half of it's scripted. You have to think some of those shows are the same.
That's why I can't stand. I'll tell you, I usually don't single people out. Somebody I can't stand is Andy Cohen. Cannot stand the man. Because to me, he tries to promote the worst in human nature. You've got two people maybe he's interviewing and they're trying to make up. And he wants to, but aren't you mad about this? Oh my God, I hate that.
I know you do.
It's drawing on the worst of humanity. Because we all have that. We're all petty. We're all jealous sometimes.
Sure.
We're all whatever. I mean, none of us are perfect. What they say, there was one perfect one, you know what they did to him. So I guess what I'm saying is that it's a case of drawing on the worst of humanity. That's why I hate reality TV. Because when I first started, first year Survivor, like a million years ago, we enjoyed it.
Interesting.
Yeah. But then it's like you saw where it went real fast. And it's very much like what we see online, right? If I put up a post saying, oh, I love so-and-so, he's such a great guy. He's terrific. I love the way he's doing. I get 4 or 5 views, 4 or 5 likes. I say, that bastard, I hate him. It's going to get, sorry for the language, but he's going to get 1 million, dislikes. Likes. And people are going, yeah, what don't you like about it? It just plays on the worst of people. Anyway, big soapbox show today.
Sorry, guys. You can fast forward if you didn't want to hear that. But
anyway, there it is.
I just thought it was a good article. I do recommend you read it. It gives you something to think about and not just about paranormal. It makes you think about every aspect of life and, what's being done So there we go. But we got a new thing that, I will not always poo-poo AI because of this next story.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to throw up an image here. But no. Okay.
Oh, brother.
Nazca lines. If you're not familiar, you're looking at one now here. This particular one is called the Monkey. And why don't you do that? Why don't you set your... Never mind. Anyway. Do you love your monkey?
Copyright strike. Be careful.
That's true. They'll think I'm George Michael. Like they did. They thought I was Frank Sinatra. No. Yeah, I don't think so. Anyway.
You could do a better Frank than you can George Michael.
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyway, the monkey. This is a famous image of the Nazca lines from Wikipedia. And these are fascinating because these are in Peru. They're ancient. They're carved into the ground. You can see them at great heights, and they were created by these ancient peoples. But the question is why when you can only see them at great height? Almost like they were made to be shown to somebody in the sky. Does make you wonder. Well, AI has come to the rescue, and some scientists have done some very interesting work, and they've actually found a ton more images. In fact, they have doubled the number of known Nazca lines by doing AI analysis. And they are stating that an AI algorithm scanned vast stretches of the deserts in only a few months, detecting subtle patterns in sand that humans might have missed. They have gone and confirmed 303 brand new figures. And researchers are saying if they had to have done this by normal means, it would have taken them years, decades to do this. And it just did it in a few months. 303 brand new figures, including animals, shapes, and symbols etched into the ground. So how about that?
Wow.
Yeah.
See, and that's why I'm not totally against all AI. And people have brought this up in the virtual campfire, and they're right. Some AI is fantastic. Some of the medical things it can do, being able to help in making prosthetics, Some AI is really helpful, really beneficial. I admit I do use it sometimes to help with my writing. I'll write something and I don't feel it's as polished maybe and not quite as good, and I will use it. I have a problem when we become friends with AI. When we ask its opinion, yeah, Jim, I'm singling you out, buddy.
No names, please.
You always do that. Oh my God, guys, he was doing it the other night. I'm like, who's he talking to? And he's got his phone and I'm like, oh, not again. I'm like, please stop asking its opinion. Not again. Stop asking its opinion. It's okay to ask like a question or maybe like, and then use it as a springboard to do more research on something. That's fine. Using it as our friend is not our friend.
I don't use it as a friend. This is a mischaracterization
Jim, you ask
of the
its
facts.
opinion all the time. Why do you
That's
need
not
an
as
opinion?
a friend.
It's going to tell you what you want to hear. Yes, it is.
I give it specific directions. Be brutally honest.
Yes, and you think it can't pick up on which side of the fence you are on when you're giving it the specific facts. Come on. We have a big disagreement with that in our house. Even the girls are on my side, though.
Well, of course, they're always on your side.
They are not always on my side, but come on. You don't need a sounding board. Form your own opinion and decision. That thing's not going to give you an unbiased one. It's going to tell you, and now it's getting to know you. So now it knows how you're thinking and which way you lean.
Getting to know all about you.
There you go.
Speaking of which, do you know what my aura is? Can you tell me about my aura?
No, but there are people who can.
Okay.
It's not me. But Good Housekeeping had a great article about how your birth month has an aura color, right? And what it means for you. I don't know if most people believe this is junk, garbage. I don't know. I kind of believe we do have an energy, and they're saying like your energy announces itself before you do. And, I do think sometimes we do. So they asked this aura reading specialist, Mystic Michaela. She's an author of What's My Aura, to talk about this. And she says it's like an aura is an energy signature around each person. They're like personality types, but on a deeper level. And adds that our aura colors and birth month may actually reveal how we make decisions in our day-to-day lives. So I'll put this up in the show notes, and you could kind of look up your month, but I'll just go through it kind of quickly. January is yellow. February is pink, which I thought that was kind of funny. And they said, isn't it fitting? But pink auras love and romance and, that kind of thing. March and April are both green. Okay. And May and June, Jim, you are turquoise.
Oh, wow. I like turquoise.
This kind of made me laugh because it said, calling all adventure seekers. People born in May and June have an energetic yet reflective aura. They don't mind road trips, wandering, and meeting up at summer festivals. The laid-back atmosphere of summer and the community it brings together their happy place. That does seem like Natalie, but not so much like you.
Yeah, maybe it's because I'm closer to July.
July and August are purple. Okay. Purple auras love a break from monotony and struggle with fitting in the 9-to-5 rat race world.
That sounds more like me.
Yeah. Something about the final days of summer gives them nostalgic sense of freedom and a nudge to make changes in their life to go find it. I think that does sound a little more like you. September's orange. October's blue. Which I thought was kind of funny because the month is always associated with orange, but it's blue. They said because that gives, they enjoy the cozy coffee dates and the fall treats they bake with friends, and they might be reading at the most aesthetic coffee shop in town. Yeah. November, for me, indigo. If there's anyone who loves a cozy night in, it's those with an indigo aura. Amen. Indigo auras love an excuse not to go out. Yeah, they enjoy the solitude of shorter days and the silence of longer nights. Curled up in bed is their favorite place to be, which is probably why they emit such a comforting color. And rounding out December is red. A holly jolly energy. They enjoy tradition and comfort it brings. Familiar faces, moments, special times together. So there you go. Yeah.
There you have it.
I thought that was interesting. I mean, take it with what you want to. I mean, but
Very, very interesting. Yeah. Well,
Yes.
I do think we emit energies. I think, to me, you think about, for example, you ever meet somebody new and you get a vibe. And sometimes the vibe's very positive, and some person is like either A, this person hates me, or B, this is not my kind of person.
Right. No, I believe that.
Is that Seinfeld? Is it this guy?
I
This
don't
is
know.
not my kind of guy.
Maybe.
I think it might be Seinfeld. Sounds very Seinfeld-esque. But anyway.
Or a Larry David show.
Yeah.
Another
well,
Larry David show.
Seinfeld was a Larry David show.
I said another.
So,
I
yeah.
know. I corrected myself.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
This is.
But
not
no,
my
I
kind of
believe
guy.
that. I believe you pick up on the energy of a person. And I mean, I kind of believe that. I know they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but sometimes you can. No, I mean, sometimes you can't. You can right away get a real feeling off of somebody if you know that, they're going to be true blue or they're going to be a thorn in your side. I mean, I believe that.
I'm just checking what show that's from because it's.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Anyway, something very important that we forgot. Let's see. No, it doesn't understand. I need to give it more context, so we'll worry about that later.
I could put it in the show notes once we find out.
There you go.
If that makes you happy.
So something we forgot before to talk about, it's totally my fault, is merch. And that is
and
not.
Look at that. You can't do it.
There you go. Can't do it. Well, we can tell them. I mean, do you have one of the signs there to show people?
I do. Okay, so you guys know the last year or so, I've been I like to craft. Last year I made wreaths, and this year I made something else. We've been kind of gearing up for it, but I made these little signs.
Yes.
Stay spooky.
Yes.
Right? And they just sit on a shelf or a table or wherever. I guess you could hang it if you put like a little, clip on the back, but we don't have that on the back. It's kind of, so it's kind of like 3D.
And it's signed by you, handmade?
It's signed by me, and it is handmade. So I want to remind you, if you do purchase it, there will be imperfections and minor, because it is not perfect.
That's part of what makes it unique.
It is unique because I made it. And I did, Jim, I sat there painting for how long, and then designing, and you could get it with a bow or no bow. And there are different choices of bow colors. So you can have it without. So those that don't want it to look as, I don't know, cutesy is the word, maybe, you don't have to have it with the bow. So I do kind of made to order. There's not many of them. I have 20. I've been painting for quite some time. So if you're interested, it's going to be in the Etsy mausoleum. So there we go.
JimHarold.com/merch. It's JimHarold.com/merch. There you go.
There you are.
And your purchases do support our efforts here, where we do seek a profit, but not an obscene one. Actually, it's very economically priced. How much are those?
$12.99. And you do have to pay for shipping to where it's located, but I don't think it should be too much because it doesn't weigh very much. And I will package it very nicely for you. But
yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Because last
year,
you want
a little Halloween decor.
Last year you did these beautiful, huge wreaths, but they were, maybe a little less accessible for folks.
They were less accessible, but we do thank those that purchased those. That was fantastic, and I hope you're enjoying it, and I hope it is doing okay. That was a lot of work too. A lot of work. The wreaths were a lot, and this was too. But this is a lot more accessible, like you said.
Well, I guess that's the end of the Paranormal Report for this week. Happy Halloween, seeing that it's October 1st.
I have my little Halloween earrings. I'm starting every day now.
There you go.
These are
Very
pumpkins.
good. And we hope that you enjoy this Halloween season. Make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts for that plus deal. We would appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And we will talk to you next time. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Stay spooky.
Bye-bye.